HB 955 is going to be pulled to the floor. We don't know who's going to support it, but we are making the record nonetheless. So we're going to do our best to capture who votes with it and who votes against it or doesn't vote. In this case, only a vote in support counts at all. So any vote that is silence is a vote against it. And it is and anything else doesn't mean anything. So it will be pulled to the floor. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of politics going on, so we're basically making the record because next year is a completely different game. So we want to make sure that they know.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, may I please ask Her Honor just to stand. Thank you to the brave flight of Ashley, Alexis, Abby, and Tatiana, the Department of Education and the Office of Interscholastic Athletics entered a preliminary settlement with the plaintiffs this past October. The U.S. District Court on February 16 upheld this agreement, signaling a significant step towards fair accommodations and equal treatment for female athletes, not just at James Campbell High School, but across the public high school campuses of Hawaii. As we celebrate this landmark settlement, let us not forget the legacy of Congresswoman Patsy Mink and countless others who have fought tirelessly for equity in women's sports. Their legacy lives on through the continued efforts of individuals like Ashley, Alexis, Carrier, Kelly, who embody the spirit of resilience and advocacy. In closing, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to these courageous young women and their representatives and all who have supported them in this endeavor. May your bravery continue to inspire us all here in the House, the legislature, and the state, where every individual, regardless of your gender, can excel and succeed. Mahalo.
All in favor say aye. The motion is carried. Representative Martinez, please proceed with the certificate and lay presentation. All right, members, the chair will call a recess to allow the members of the House to meet and congratulate the honor of this recess.
Picture now. I can't even see. Oh. Is that the last one? Live now. You are? Yeah. Okay, if they're ready.
Oh, no, hold on. Stand there. No, I'm going to stand there. Okay, tell me when to talk.
Oh, yeah,
Are you live?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm live. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca Botello, and I am a birth worker here in our community. And we've been fighting against the legislation that was passed in 2019. It was called Senate Bill 1033, and they passed it into law and made it Hawai'i Revised Statute 457J, which basically says that almost everyone that wants to help you or your loved one in a birthing situation is criminalized if they give you any kind of birthing advice. Even something as simple as maybe a tea that might help to drink during pregnancy. The law is really complicated, but you can go to pacificbirthcollective.org. I'm not sure, is it pacificbirthcollective.org? Okay, for more information, or Hawaii Home Birth Collective online, and it can tell you a lot more about Hawai'i Revised Statute 457J. So today, the reason why I'm standing here in the House Gallery, and we are awaiting one of the brave representatives who will motion to bring HB 955 to the floor. And what that means is we as a collective group supporting our community that wants freedom of birth choices, the ability to choose where you give birth, the ability to choose who's at your birth or who supports you before, during, and after your birthing experiences. We're fighting for that today, and we've been fighting here for a long time. This is probably 10 to 15 years in the making, protecting traditional midwifery, traditional birth work, cultural birth work, religious birth work here in Hawaii, and really protecting your rights to have birth the way that you desire and not with state intervention and state interference. So we're here today. Today is March 7th, 2024. And we're standing in the House Gallery. There's just a few of us here to witness today, although we had hundreds of people here last week, Friday, March 1st, 2024, sitting in the House Gallery asking for the same thing. Bring House Bill 955 to the floor. It's been 2 years that the legislature has had to bring this bill to the floor so that it can be heard, passed along to the Senate, and then eventually be the vehicle by which the bad law, Hawai'i Revised Statute 457J, we call it the midwifery restriction law, and that HB 955 would be the vehicle to amend that law and make it possible for people that you want to help you with your birthing experience to be able to do that without criminalization. So we're awaiting the end of the break here. Speaker called for a recess, and I understand that they are in their caucus rooms right now. So the Democrats went to one side, the Republicans went to the other. They're discussing what's going to happen today. And we expect today that one brave representative will motion to bring the bill to the floor, and that another one will second it. And we expect that there will be 11 representatives that also stand up and do the right thing and call for a roll call vote. That means every one of the 51 representatives will have to state yes or no if they are in support of bringing House Bill 955 to the floor for everyone to hear, for everyone to vote, and for them to represent our communities well, not their own special interests. So we're waiting for that to happen today. And by the time this floor session is over, whatever has passed the House third reading will be just kind of simplifying everything. It will be passed over to the Senate, and then we will talk to the 25 senators and make sure that they are in the right, that they are protecting your constitutional and your religious rights to have birth the way that you want it. Currently, there is a lawsuit, 2024. It's called Kaho'ohanohano versus the state of Hawaii. And what that means is that one of our brave warriors, Ki'i Kaho'ohanohano, and 8 other beautiful people from Maui are standing up for your freedoms to have birth the way that you want it. And what they're doing is they have sued the state along with the assistance of the Center for Reproductive Rights. And please assist me, the Native
Hawaiian Legal Corporation.
Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation. Thank you. I don't have any notes in front of me. This is all extemporaneous. So those 2 groups together have supported these 9 women. To my understanding, there are 3 traditional birth workers, 3 student birth workers, and there are 3 community members that have spoken up and said, we want to be able to have the support of any birth worker that we choose, and we don't want the state to interfere with that because it crosses the boundaries of human rights, constitutional rights, cultural rights, religious rights. And so this lawsuit was filed against the state, against the Attorney General, against the DCCA. And we know that that's kind of in process. So we've got the legislative option right here today, which is for House Bill 955 to pass a third reading and get kicked over to the Senate so that they can deliberate and use that as an amendment to the midwifery restriction law of 2019. Now we're going to work on the judicial branch and use that lawsuit to bring judicial justice. And we're also going to call on the executive branch, which is the Governor Josh Green. We expect that you will consider very carefully everything that's going on with this court case. We've been here year after year requesting that the legislature amend a bad law, and that has not happened. So it may be up to you to call for a moratorium on HRS 457J and put a stop to it until all of this legalities can be settled so that birthing families in Hawaii are not denied their rights to have birth the way that they choose. So again, here we are. It's pretty empty. You can see behind me
Because they're all in the caucus
talking about what decisions they're going to make. And we believe that there are going to be at least 11 representatives that do the right thing and that call for a roll call vote so that you, the public, can hear what all 51 members of this House think about protecting your rights as birthing families now, or your children or your grandchildren's rights as birthing families in the future, to be able to have access to the maternal and infant care that they trust the most. If they want to go to a hospital, great. If they want to use the services of someone who is a certified nurse midwife in a hospital situation, that's fabulous. But we know that there's some of you out there that is not your personal belief. You want to give birth perhaps at home, perhaps at somebody else's home, perhaps in another setting of your choosing with a traditional birth worker, a cultural midwife, a religious midwife, and you want that option for you, for your children, and for your grandchildren. So we've got to fix this law now. If the legislature is not going to do it, you'll know probably by the end of today which one of the 51 representatives is not actually representing your rights to choose. And you can speak up about that in the next election, because I believe that there's an election happening this year and some people are going to be in the hot seat for whatever choice they stand and make today. So we hope that helps you a little bit. Again, this is off script for me. I'm practicing my reporting skills off the cuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you for our trusty worker here behind the camera. Oren, you're awesome.
I think it's important to remember, if we can remember, that this is their last chance. Basically, we're here more than anything to be clear on what they are going to do for the record, because this matter from here, if nothing gets passed today, then this leaves their hands and it goes into the other hands that we are working with. So that would be, again, legal through the court cases that are happening right now. Also, it goes into the community itself, because if anything happens to anyone, any birth practitioner in the community, we can expect a very strong response. And so we will be preparing for that. We will also be preparing for the United Nations. We need to remember that all of this is illegal, that we are in an occupied country, and the government of this occupied country has been oppressing the people for quite some time. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about Hawaii, because there's an assumption that, oh, it's paradise, it's a nice place for vacation, it's it's all of these things, and that we have a very liberal government and this kind of thing. Now you can see that when it comes to a basic fundamental human right, this government is not willing to protect it. It has not been willing to protect it. So what we are doing is we're exhausting the legislative remedy at this moment. We have already exhausted the administrative remedy, other than Josh Green himself, who is next. And let's remember that he is a medical professional in a multiple faceted health crisis. We have a health crisis in Lahaina, arising from the fires that are essentially caused by land and water theft. We have a maternal health crisis in which Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders have the highest maternal mortality of any ethnic group in the so-called United States. So to emphasize how serious that is, the death rate for mothers, and these are not home birth mothers, these are hospital mothers, mothers who have given birth in the hospital, are dying at a higher rate than any other ethnic group, higher than Black people. And we already know that there's an extremely high death rate for African Americans, and also for and people who may not, people of African descent who may not identify as Americans either, and also Native Americans, who also have an extremely high death rate. But still, Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders are the highest, and a lot of that has to do with what we call obstetric violence. That's an actual medical term, obstetric violence, and basically poor care, overall terrible health care. There's this limitation on midwives, but there are no OBGYNs to see a lot of these moms. They won't travel to them in remote areas. So if you live in a rural area and you don't have a car, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do other than a home birth, especially if you're a cultural practitioner for whom that's appropriate. They are these things are violating the human rights of these young students, such as Sovereign, who's up there, who's been super awesome, and who want to continue these cultural practices. They are violating many different rights of many people, and we have been going to the United Nations and documenting these human rights abuses. And make no mistake, this is to free our country, and also to highlight what a country should do and what it should not do. And this right here is an example of what it should not do. But we might be surprised today. So we'll give them one last chance. That is what this is. It's their one last chance to do the right thing, to support the rights, the human rights of mothers who are dying, to support the human rights of Lahaina fire victims who deserve maternity care from traditional practitioners, the human rights of grandmothers and aunties and extended ohana who deserve to not be criminalized for assisting and supporting their ohana. We are documenting where these people stand. So that's what we're doing today. And this may go forward in the legislature, and this may be it for the legislature. Because next year, they're going to need to ask to continue this oppression. And I don't think we're about to allow it, especially if they do nothing today. So that's what we're doing. And these guys have been awesome over here. This is our crew.
Lord, I think it'll fall.